Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Vicki Howie of ChakraBoosters.com, and welcome to the second video in our series where we're looking at 5 shadow qualities for each chakra. So we're now in the sacral, and you may notice that I'm not my typical, totally bouncy third chakra self. In fact, it's hard for me to stop sometimes because that is my destiny number, fire. But the other side of fire is water. And diving into the shadow right now for me personally, at a time when I'm going through a breakup with my partner of 3.5 years we were together, this is a vulnerable topic, and I'm really happy about that. And it's funny because I'm doing this video and I'm setting this camera. I'm by the ocean, the water is the sacral, the feminine, the moody weather. I've got sun in front of me and dark clouds behind me. That's sacral. I have a tractor over to this side of me who's finally starting to go further down the beach, but he was moving the earth, moving the sand. Usually the earth doesn't move, but with the sacral invites everything to change, everything to move. So all this symbolism is talking to us that this is the time for me to do this video. I hadn't planned to do it today. I'm processing a lot of my own stuff, but I want to be more with you. I want to be more vulnerable with you. And this doesn't mean I have to pretend and I can't show you my fiery destiny self, because I do have optimism. I do like to get things done. I do like action. And I'm processing a lot right now. And I'm a very emotional, sensitive person. And to get through that in my childhood, I really didn't have anyone there for me. So to get to my needs the way I thought I could, I forced things, or I thought I had to grow up to be my own parent. So I don't want to have that hard shell, that masculine shell. And finally, you may notice there's a shakiness to the camera. How perfect is that for the moving water of the feminine, the undulating feminine? I happen to stick my cell phone on top of a garbage can. We're on top of a garbage can, so talk about doing shadow, because I didn't want to hold it because I might want to do some tapping with you. And the wind is causing the can to undulate in the sacral waves, like the waves behind me, which is just such perfect symbolism. So I'm just in such awe right now as the sun has turned to darkness again. This is right now showing you, all the things around me are showing you what the feminine's about. The ocean, the waves, the changing of life, my hair crazy in the wind, not looking coiffed or appropriate. All that would be root chakra, not looking, or it would be third, to look really good and have a good image. This is the second chakra. The ocean is the second chakra. The sand mover that's moving the earth around me, and he's making noise and chaos, and he's farther away now, but the wave of him coming and going, that is the sacral. The weather moods, that is the sacral. The wind shaking, sometimes shaking this camera, and I'm going to leave it in because that's the sacral, and I want you to feel the sacral. And now we're going to look at the ways in which we might have been running from the sacral because our caregivers couldn't stay with the sacral, or because we had what we were told was too much of the sacral. Mine is both cases, okay? So if you are watching this video somehow and you haven't yet seen my videos on shadow in the chakras, watch that one, and then the root chakra shadow qualities, the 5 root chakra shadow qualities, because in that video I give you an intro to the series and I give you 5 healing techniques. Here we go, we're shaking again. I give you 5 healing techniques that you can use to integrate your shadow, to own back these parts of yourself, because we need to own ourselves fully. I'm going to put my hands here and just steady it a little bit, which just goes to show we can. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to fight the wind. But I'm also going to bring a little steadiness. And the symbolism of that is in doing this shadow work, we can bring more presence. My arm on this, right now the wind is really strong, as you can see in my hair, and my arm right now on this trash can is causing it's still wiggling, but it's not out of control, right? I'm allowing the undulation of life, but it's not out of control. So I hope all this makes sense to my sacral peeps. I think you're getting it. Make comments below to let me know if you're getting it. And if you're not, ask me questions below and I'll help you get it. Okay? So let's look at the 5 shadow qualities of the sacral chakra. The first one is codependence. Now I'm going to get clear on this as best I can because this word runs around. Let's keep it real simple. Let's say when you're codependent, your life force, you're like a parasite, okay, on another animal. Your life force is entirely coming from that other animal. So don't get caught in the intellectual aspects of codependent. Just ask yourself, if you're looking into this codependent shadow quality, am I living off another? If you would kill yourself if someone were to reject you, whether it were a parent or a beloved, if you were to think suicidal thoughts, or even think your life was over, not suicidal thoughts, but just, oh, my life is over, then there's probably a lot of this quality happening, okay? And I think this is a true shadow side for me because I convinced myself very early on that I don't need anyone because there was no one there. And as I've told you guys before, my dad died when I was 1.5 and he was very loving of me. He was a pilot, he wasn't there all the time, but when he was there I could still feel his hands and I can still hear him calling me princess. But my mother was not this way. She was very damaged and very hurt. She was abused, put in foster homes, and her parents divorced in a day when that didn't happen. So my mother didn't have that loving, stable energy. She had a lot of great qualities, so brilliant, and she, I think, wanted to have those things, but they weren't there. So when my father died, she went off the deep end and I was alone. So being vulnerable, being needy, which is root chakra, being vulnerable and full of all of my emotions and feeling no connection to others, feeling like, where is the other? I reached out to the only person I had, my mother, which was a very toxic link, very toxic, because she was grieving and in denial. You know, she was drinking and she met the man she married at the funeral. She was so codependent, so needy, she met him at the funeral. And I totally understand it. I really understand it now. And I also understand that that wasn't a safe place for my sensitive child to hook in and find my life force, because there was no stability there whatsoever. So, codependence. What is the gift? The gift is your ability to meet another. Think about it. Dial that codependence down, pull off some of those cords, some of those, just those attachments, and you get a willingness, a beautiful, elegant, exquisite willingness and ability to be sensitive to the other and meet the other, to go over into their world. Because in intimacy, we need to go into each other's world. Isn't that a beautiful gift? Wow, right? Okay. Number 2, second shadow quality of the sacral chakra. I love this wind. This is so sacral chakra today. The second one is crazy. Now, since the root is the traditional, natural, like biological home of the masculine, women have a tendency to call men stuck, okay, which is another shadow quality of the root that I didn't get to go over because there are many shadow qualities. Men, if they're going to push something out at a woman, tend to push this one out a lot. You're crazy, you're insane, because the woman's energy, the sacral energy, is all over the place. So if we're to own our sacral energy in full, we have to own our crazy, our Can you own your crazy? Can you own the part that is like a wild child who can laugh and then be sad and then be mad, be all over, and right? So crazy has to do with too emotional, okay? So let's throw too emotional in there too. Too many different emotions. And what the man is really saying is, your sacral energy that I'm so attracted to, it scares me. Now, if a woman is conscious of her too emotional crazy, then she can bring it in ways that can really arouse herself and enliven herself, and in doing so, arouse her man and all the people around her. But if she can't bring it in that conscious way, it's going to come out in an unconscious way. It's going to come out when she's had enough. When, for instance, women and even sensitive men, when your partner says, you don't have the right to feel that way, like says, why are you making such a big deal out of it? You're overreacting. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Oh, I hope it feels good for you to hear that, because I've heard it my whole life. Because I have this wild, wild energy and I'm overly emotional. I have so many emotions in this body. They're just craving to come out, every part of me. And it's toxic when I don't acknowledge that that's that little child in me that had to reach out and latch on to an unsafe place. And that I wasn't met there in my emotions. My mom had no room for my emotions, her emotions. She didn't have room for her emotions. Because she didn't have room for her emotions, she didn't have room for mine. You would think it works differently, but it's actually, we're in a quantum universe. There's infinite space. When one has room for their own love, they have room for others' love. When you have room for your own crazy, you have room for other people's crazy. And that is why we're doing the shadow work, my friends. And I love that you're here, and I love you're doing this work. Okay, just notice the darkness. We started in bright light and we're going into darkness. We're going into the other moods. We've got the ocean waves moving behind us. Okay, so I just hope you have enough light to keep having the video, right? To keep seeing me, but I want to keep this natural. Okay, that's number 2. Let's look at the gift. What's the gift of the crazy? So I hope I was really clear about that gift, right? That's such an exquisite gift. And our culture, our society is so frightened of the wild feminine. Oh, and we're in the divine feminine age right now. So we need to make peace with this wild, uncontained, because the sexual energy is there, the sensual energy there, the emotional energy, the life force is there. The undulating waves of the ocean is right there. So there's a beautiful gift to that, don't you think? All right, I sure do. And if it's frightening to you, there's the shadow. Feel that. I'm scared of my emotions. I'm scared of others' emotions. Men right now, I'm scared of my woman's or my mother's emotions. Feel into that. That's a gateway. Being honest with that is a gateway for you to be able to feel more of your own. And you feeling more of your own means you can feel more of your woman and meet her there instead of making her wrong. Okay? All right, guys, I love you. My heart is so filled with love right now because I feel so vulnerable. Here we go, now it's the tears. So I'm doing the full realm of emotions. I feel so vulnerable. I feel so seen because these are my shadows that I'm owning now. I'm really owning my feminine. There wasn't any room for it in myself and therefore not in my relationship. And I'm creating something different now, and thank you for being with me on this path. Okay, the third shadow quality of the Sacral Chakra, leaky. Leaky. I'm by the water, right? So chakra that is water chakra, right? So leaky. What does leaky mean? The best word we have for leaky that most people use is inappropriate. Have people called you inappropriate? Have you judged yourself as inappropriate? Are you crossing people's boundaries? Are you not knowing what is appropriate? Oh my God, I've come a long way on this one. But this has been a big one for me because I reached out in a world that didn't acknowledge me, so didn't teach me my personal boundaries and didn't have any. My mother didn't have any of her own and she needed me, so she took in my energy. So there was just it was parasitic. There was no boundaries. There was nothing happening in our family. This is when we eat. This is when we come together. This is how we treat each other respectfully. There was no boundaries. There was nothing taught about what is appropriate, what is healthy. There was no healthy modeling. Now, if you're really, really into the sacral, you might say, well, everything's appropriate. And on a spiritual level, yes, it is. And you may hear in the background, this is the sand mover again. He's moving the earth. And I just want to point that out because the symbolism of that is that we need the earth, but we also need for it to be able to yield and move. So we need a certain amount of appropriateness. Other people have their space. They have their boundaries. And if we don't learn to have our own boundaries and we don't we probably won't learn to respect others' boundaries. And when we have neither one, that's the codependence, and that's the blending that's just so unhealthy, because it means we can only be us instead of me being me, you being you, and us getting into exquisite orgasmic intimacy when we come together and bring the all of ourselves and not just merging to where we can't separate. So boundaries are important. Appropriateness is actually important. And I realized that I've had a long time shadow, a root shadow around appropriate. So there's another quality that I could have pulled out, right? Just appropriate. So you can see there's a lot more shadows that I'm able to handle in 5, right? Okay, so leaky and inappropriate. What is the gift of leaky and inappropriate? Feel into that. What is the gift? And when I can't feel the gift in that, I just keep I say the wrong thing at the wrong moment, la 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 la. I do the wrong thing, I stick my foot right in my mouth. Okay, so no guilt tripping on this, guys, okay? You don't need to guilt trip. We just need to love the heck out of this child in us, the inappropriate one. That's how shadow works, right? And we need to see the gift. So the gift of inappropriate is you show others freedom and wildness, and you make them feel free. So as long as you're aware to a certain extent, you've integrated any leakiness or inappropriateness, then you can come from a conscious place where you can play with the edges of boundaries to open up your friends, to open up those around you, but to open up yourself too, right? To keep having your own edge. So the gift of inappropriateness is creativity, thinking outside the box and opening up yourself and everyone else to bigger and brighter and different things. Isn't that incredible? Because if we were always appropriate, think about it. If we were always appropriate, we wouldn't get anything new. We'd be inside the box all the time. Blah. Now, let's not devalue the box. Okay? My sacral peeps, feel into that. Don't make the box wrong. Just honor the box, and that going outside of it and on the edge of it, and when it comes to yourself, you can go as far out as you feel, but just check in with your own child's safety needs, okay? But you can definitely go in your own world, and that's what art is. Art is personally going outside of the box, outside of the lines. Blah! True art, when you can really feel the vibrancy in any kind of piece of music or sculpture or stained glass even, or painting or anything, it's because somebody got a little inappropriate. So that's the gift. That's the gift of leaky. And leaky means you're letting your water, the sacral water, and that's why I love the word leaky. Inappropriate's more known, so you can refer to that and think of that. But leaky's great because it's that water of the sacral that has no boundary of the root chakra. Get it? The root chakra is the earthy holder. It's the cup or the bowl. And the water of the sacral goes in, and it may splash a little bit on the edges of the bowl, the way the tide comes in behind me onto the sand, the earth, the sand, but at the same time, and it moves the sand a little. But it doesn't come in and flood this entire beach all the time, because if so, that's unsafe. Do you feel that? Okay. I love the symbolism of nature around us today, don't you? Okay. All right. So that's number 3. Number 4 sacral shadow quality is promiscuous. Slutty, let's just say it, slutty. That's the one that gets thrown on women, right? And the truth is, this is our home chakra, ladies. So while men, this applies to you too. Women, this is the one we need to own if we want to have a healthy sex life. We need to be able to embrace that part of us that is the sensual and the intimate and the one who actually craves and desires a man's attention and lovemaking. Okay, now if we have a past trauma in this area, we may have a real shadow with this because a part of us wants to, but another part feels it's unsafe. And I've been raped, and I need to stop for a minute. Mine's a weird situation because I was actually, it's been weird kinds of rape, not straight out, hold a weapon to me and make me, but energy from an actual partner that took me in a way at a time when I wasn't wanting it, that was rape and roofied, given drugs. I was given drugs and raped. So these were things that, interestingly, were unconscious, right? So it's really hard for me to tap into my grief because they were so not your normal way, right? So I want to share that with you because I want you to know that I'm still seeking out that little girl within me to feel those things, and I feel safe to feel it just a bit with you right now. But I'm not here to heal that right now. I'm here to share with you that I am ready. I have built a root chakra that's stronger now, and I'm ready to become a fully sensual, fully sexual woman who neither gives myself away too much because I feel that codependence neediness, nor thinks it's wrong if I want to fall into the full desire of my yoni, the full desire of my sex, the full desire of my goddess self. Sex is beautiful. Lovemaking is beautiful. And in owning my wild woman, who I don't really even know very much because of so much shut down from early years and then abuses that I just shared a few with you of, I'm interested now. I know the possibilities, and shadow opens these possibilities. Can you feel that? So what's your relationship to your sexuality? Are you afraid to be called a slut? Can we just embrace this wild? Because this is a shadow quality that leads to pleasure, that leads to allowing our fire and our passion. And I know for me, as you know, I'm a fiery woman. So my sex is going to be tepid. It's going to be lukewarm unless I really connect into this wild woman, into the craving part of me. Okay, and that means adding the third chakra and the first chakra, meeting my full self and my man in all of my lower chakras to really feel that promiscuous, slutty part, okay? And let it be okay, let it be part of life. Hard work this week for me, you guys. Hard work for me. It was hard work last week, but it was in a much more contained way. This way, it's the open feminine. The open feminine. And once again, you hear the roar of the sand mover. He's literally redistributing the sand. He's pushing it like a little tractor around the beach here. And by the way, I forgot to tell you where I am. I'm in Noordwijk. I hope I said it right, guys. Noordwijk, which is north of Amsterdam, no, south of Amsterdam. I'm south of Amsterdam on the beach where I really want to be right now, and I'm so happy to be here with you. Okay. I kind of touched on it, but let's get a little clearer. The gift of slutty, the gift of promiscuous. Say you work with promiscuous if slutty is too much, and then as you get stronger with it, pull in slutty, because slutty can pull some big buttons, right? And it keeps us stuck. But the gift is it opens all of our sexual gifts. It opens our sexual pleasure. It opens our pelvis. It opens all the gifts that are in our pelvis. Okay? It allows us to fully enjoy lovemaking, enjoy lovemaking with ourselves, enjoy lovemaking with our beloved. Okay? That's a pretty clear and easy gift. Everyone wants to know, how do I do sex better and all that? You connect with all your lower chakras, your shadow aspects. Because not connecting with your shadow aspects, because sex has deeply been put into the shadow category by our caregivers and therefore by us and by our ancestors. So if we go back and we claim it all, our desires, then we're no longer halfway in when we make love. We're there all the way. Can you feel that? Okay, that's number 4. You're doing great so far. Number 5, shadow quality number 5 for the sacral chakra is, I left this one for last because I think it's the widest shadow and it doesn't sound like a shadow, but it is. And it's used against us all the time, not just when we're a child, but now. So I'm going to ask you a question and just answer yes or no. the minute I ask it. Number 5 is related to this question. I don't want to say what 5 is yet until I ask you this question. Are you too sensitive? Now, if I'd said that as a statement, too sensitive, then it would come at you in masculine energy. I wanted you to ask yourself, am I too sensitive? Because for me, it's an immediate answer, yes! How many times have I been told I'm too sensitive? Yes! And that is even with a lot of myself shut down. And as I've been opening my chakras, I've been opening more and more, and my sensitivity has been rising and rising. And what I'm desiring, what I long for to do as I do this is to create a stronger and stronger root container, so I'm more and more safe with myself, so I'm okay with opening to the world. And I'm also learning that my community, I'm learning to ask for help, I'm learning to love my goddess sisters and the men that are around me to help me. And yes, so are you too sensitive? When does your partner tell you? Now, too sensitive, again, is similar to too emotional or crazy. Crazy doesn't always go with too emotional. Too sensitive doesn't always go with too emotional. So emotional can fall in either one of these. But a reason I'm saying too sensitive and not just too emotional, although you can think of it as too emotional if you want. But I think a lot of us who are both, and they always seem to go hand in hand, don't realize that there's like this shaky, gentle creature within us. Like that there's actually this sensitivity to things. We are highly attuned. We came into this world attuned, planetary-wise, soul-wise, and then we came into a situation that maybe wasn't safe, we didn't get anchored, and we're just, I've always related to myself as being like a deer or a rabbit, and I'm such a strong person externally. I'm like, why am I relating to just a deer or a rabbit? And especially the deer spoke to me because the strength is there, but there's still this skittishness to a deer. Can you feel that? Like this really hypersensitivity. If it hears one little branch break, it's off and moving, right? It looks. And they have that phrase, deer in headlights, right? Like, and I'm just now starting to really work with this shadow of too sensitive and owning it. That I'm this really tender. I have tentacles going in every direction. How about you? How sensitive are you? When I have a lover, if they're not tuned in with me, it feels very clunky, and I literally feel unsafe, even if they're not doing anything unsafe. And men, women, I know many of you might relate to that. Men, even if you relate to that, please own that. Please be aware. Maybe you're a really sensitive man who's drawn opposite partners, really root chakra or really strong kind of, and they come in and they kind of bulldoze, and you're like, even as a man, you're like, whoa, this doesn't feel, I'm not being met, okay? So, if you've often felt, that's one kind of symptom. If you felt in sex or even in hugging, in any kind of intimacy, if you felt like your partner had an energy that was heavy, you didn't feel felt, you didn't feel met. Or alternatively, what happens is if you're drawing like energy, you felt like your partner couldn't stay still. Your partner was overly sensitive. Your partner was, like, and especially you see this a lot with women to men, because women, we actually embody, we live out of the sacral chakra, and we're looking for that strength in the masculine. So we're looking for that stillness in a man, and if he can't be still, we can't feel stillness. We look at him, he's unstill, we're unstill. He looks at us and sees, you're too sensitive, because no one ever let him be sensitive. Okay? Now again, this can go either way, masculine. I'm just trying to give you an idea of our hormones and our biology and how they all play a part here. But just flip it. If I'm very mixed wired, I'm extremely masculine in my energy, and I am extremely feminine. And doing this shadow work's really allowing me to tap into my feminine. So maybe you guys will see some real big shifts in me after this, because I'm just always becoming, just like you, I'm becoming. Yeah, we're doing this together. Okay, that's number 5. What's the gift of being too sensitive? Well, hello! We're moving into embodied age of the divine feminine, where we need to share this planet and be sensitive to each other. It's the gift of harmonizing. It's the gift of of feeling. It's the gift of being a poet and feeling your own self, so sensitive that today I'm just noticing every little symbol, every way that the universe is talking to me, as you can even see in the things that I brought up in this video. So the gift of being too sensitive, quote unquote too sensitive, highly sensitive, use two though so you can work with the shadow. The gift of being, I'm just starting to love how sensitive I am. When I work with a client, I feel them no matter where they are on the planet. I feel their energies inside of me. That's because of my highly attuned sensitivity. I couldn't have that gift. I couldn't feel that if I wasn't highly sensitive. And that's our first seagull. I hope you heard that seagull in the background. Just really, I feel validating that for me, that my work with many of you, if you do, many of you don't know that you can work with me personally. You can go to mychakraboosters.com. I love working with you. I love holding space for you. I love feeling your emotions. I love all of it. Okay, so I did say we might tap, but I want you instead to go watch my tapping video on the throat, because the throat and the sacral are like a pair. They're our creative expression pair, okay? So go watch that, pick one of these qualities and tap on it. Because I'm following my intuition, I'm in my feminine, I'm following my sacral right now, and it's telling me that we've just shared so much right now that bringing in tapping is going to bring in mind and masculine a little bit and bring in more body, and I want to keep it in the water, in the waves, in the feminine. So if you want to see those 5 ways that you can heal your, or integrate, I don't really even like the word heal, we're always in process. Okay, I use heal because Google makes me use heal so that you can find my videos. But we're always in process. And if you want to integrate your shadow, okay, if you want to integrate that shadow, then you use the 5 gifts in my root chakra video of this series. So go watch that, okay? That's your homework. And of course, number 1, we already went through. We went through all of the gifts of these shadow qualities. Remember, you might find your very own gifts, and we're getting just a little bit of sun right now. We've gone full circle. It feels so delicious. God, it looked like there was no possibility. There's gray clouds all around me, just like there are in back, and I don't even know how the sun is coming through, but I'm so happy, and I want to tell you I love you, and I'm so glad you're on this journey with me. Do the work, guys. This is bodily work. It'll only be thoughts and just energy that moves unless you want to anchor it in your body with the work, okay? So do this work with me, and we've done a lot of it just with this long video. I love you so much. I'll see you in the next one, which is my destiny chakra, the solar plexus, where we'll look at 5 shadows there next week. And I'll be back. Should be back in Sedona, or I'm actually might be doing that video from New York because I'm taking a quick stop in New York City before I go back to Sedona. Okay, that's it. I'm feeling very close right now, which is very fitting for the sacral, and I'll see you then.